So August is on loan month, and I will tackle games that other importer friends have lent me to review. And the first couple I will tackle today all together because they're of the same genre. What genre is that? Well, what if I were to tell you that Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Chrono Trigger, and Final Fantasy VII were all playable on the Famicom? Yeah, that Famicom.
Oh yeah!
So the first thing that you'll probably be saying is, what? The second thing you'll be asking is, how do you get a hold of those things? Well, when I was at Fanime in June, I got a question if I was ever going to review Chinese bootleg Famicom games. I had heard of them before, but I actually didn't own any. He asked me that if someone loaned them to me, would I review them? And I said yes. And so he did. Now, how did he get these? Well, he told me that he got them from a seller on Famicom World. Famicom World is a website and forum that I have frequented and suggested to others who import Famicom games. They're a good resource for beginning and established collectors and a very friendly site. I would suggest you give them a look-see if collecting Famicom games interests you at all. And so here they are, the Famicom versions of Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Chrono Trigger, and Final Fantasy VII. So let's go into what I know of Chinese Famicom bootlegs. I know that there has been a big pirating market in Asia for quite some time, which is one of the major reasons that Nintendo of America became so very strict with their lockout chips on the NES. In Japan, they didn't have a lockout chip on the Famicom, and piracy was rampant. I also know that the Famicom lasted for a longer time in some countries than others, as these poorer countries couldn't afford to upgrade their systems to the Super Nintendo or the PlayStations. So there's always been a big call for bootleggers, and like I said before, Asia has a high calling for them. Most of the games that they put out are of pretty poor and shoddy quality, while some, I must say, are pretty astounding. Now, allow me to cover my ass for a moment. I'm not saying that this is legal or illegal, right or wrong. I'm just reviewing these games because I think they have an interesting place in video game history. They are unlike any other games for the system, and I think that you might be interested in hearing about them. Please understand, I am not a lawyer. Please don't listen to others unless they are lawyers in copyright law. And don't listen to someone who says, oh, I have a lawyer friend, or my dad's a lawyer, or I took a law class in college, or I heard from my second uncle twice removed who knows a guy. Just don't listen to anyone unless they are a lawyer in copyright law. So, with that said, as hopefully covered, why the hell am I doing these? I mean, many of you know me for not really playing bootlegs or emulated games. Well, I've always felt like games were meant to be played the way that they came out, with a controller and on a TV. And well, that's what these are. I mean, these are actual carts, and you play them on an actual system. But they are pirated from the original games. I mean, Final Fantasy VII came out on the PlayStation and was 3 discs long. How can they shove all of that into one Famicom cart? Well, these pirators are pretty damn good. So let's look at this first game, Final Fantasy VII. Well, the first thing that I notice is the opening song. It tries to sound like the original NES Famicom theme, but it fails. How in the world can a Final Fantasy game fail with a Final Fantasy theme? Then we open up with the train coming into the station. Okay, so this isn't too bad of a representation of the PS1 game. Then we get into our first battle, and boy is it tough. I lose half of my hit points on this one battle, and it takes forever to fight these enemies. Never has starting off been this difficult. I mean, I have everything equipped. Why am I doing so little damage? I mean, even in Final Fantasy 1 it wasn't this tough to start out unless you had nothing equipped. See, I have the basest equipment, and it may take 2 hits for some of the most basic monsters, but I'm still killing them easily. Okay, hold on. Let's change to the PlayStation 1 game. What the hell, man? Even here it's not that difficult. Well, at least it seems like they have the storyline correct, but look at the varied monsters that you come across in this stage. Besides the soldiers, I haven't had many monsters repeat at all, and they just seem to be getting tougher and tougher. On the plus side, when you get into battles, you don't go through any sound effects or screen flashes like you do in all the other games. Now, once I'm into the underground here, I wonder how far the guy who loaned me this game got. Let me take a look. As far as the beginning? Not surprised. This game is just unnecessarily difficult. Sure, it makes it challenging, but I got 30 minutes into it and I didn't want to play it anymore. It really could have been made better if the monsters gradually got more challenging and if they had certain monsters for certain sections of the map and not just any monster that they pulled out. You know, like in all the other Final Fantasy games. On the battle screen, many of the actions for the character attacks have been removed, and so the battles just look bland. I miss the swinging and the flailing of weapons as the heroes fight. Here, it's just one movement. Yeah! It's got all the right things. Decent monster sprites, a Final Fantasy storyline, which I can only assume it's close to it since I don't read Chinese, and I like the idea of having a Final Fantasy VII on the Famicom. I even hear that materia is in it and that it stays pretty faithful to the storyline. Maybe if some translation group made an English patch for this, then I could see maybe playing it, giving it a try if you really like Final Fantasy VII, but honestly, in its current shape, it's just way too far. They did make a translation patch? Several? Who did this? Oh, well, there you go, guys. If you go to romhacking.net, look around for Final Fantasy VII Famicom. I'm sure you'll find the patch that this is talking about. But as it is, as a cart, and in and of itself, yeah, just save your money. Anyways, let's get to the second game in our lineup here. We have Chrono Trigger. The cover and the rulebook actually have the correct characters on this one, and it actually looks like it might be a closer translation than Final Fantasy VII. Well, let's see how it plays. Alright, now here we go. I like this game already. The character sprites look really nice, and they have a good motion to them. You talk to your mom, just like at the very beginning of Chrono Trigger on the SNES, but this reminds me a little bit of a Pokemon game. I wonder if that will ever be addressed again. The music is nice too, much crisper than the other one. More melodic, I think, and it's a pretty good version of the SNES version. And it seems to follow the storyline there as well. They did take out a lot of the places that you could go, which is understandable. Sometimes you can just skip some of the things that people say in these RPGs and go straight to the main area. And it looks like they did that in this game. And it looks like you don't really bump into the girl. And you actually bring back her cat to continue. Well, and see, and this is one reason why I don't do RPGs for you can play this, guys. It's just too tough to figure out what to do next, and the storylines are just completely lost if you don't understand the language. And this game is just, well, we get to the demonstration, we go back in time, but instead of just dropping us off, like in the SNES version, there's actually a platform here. And you fight the bad guys as usual. Okay, whoa, hells yeah. It's actually the first time that I've ever seen the battle like this on the Famicom. Okay, I take back what I said. This is how you port a game backwards. Sure, you have a lot of the RPG elements and storyline, but this? Oh, this is cool. I mean, they really tried to keep some of the feel of the 16-bit game. Yeah, I can live with this. Let me try to battle to raise my level. Wait. Is that a Beedrill? I choose you, George Takei signed Bulbasaur?
Oh my.
Well, the fighting is not that bad, and the real-time meter isn't just there for show. It really does get faster. Like, for example, when I started off at level 5, the Beedrill, it got to attack first. Then, as you see here, when I got higher in level, I got the first attack. It really does increase. This is an amazing adaptation of Chrono Trigger, and really something I didn't expect. Oh, come on now! Are you serious? Are you serious? But there are original monsters out there, and it really forces you to grind your characters. But it's really an enchanting game, and I want to play it so much more. This game is really much more playable than the Final Fantasy VII Famicom game, by far. And I really hope that some group out there is trying to make an English patch for this, because it would really be an incredible addition. If you are in love with Chrono Trigger, this game seems to be an honest 8-bit port of it, and I would definitely suggest that you try to seek out a copy. And finally, there's Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. At least, that's what I think that this is. I mean, look, the cover is really obscure. I mean, the other two have covers that actually look like the games that they have in it, but this one, well, I could have sworn it was something like Secret of Mana or something. Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Oh man, look at that. It looks so similar to the 16-bit game. Even the baddies chase you. And it seems to have the same storyline. And that's something that's been really surprising me for all of these games, is the attention that they're trying to keep the basic storyline to the original. Now, I can't speak or read Chinese, but further research that I did has shown me that, for the most part, all of these games try and follow the storylines of the original as much as they can. They do delete some things, but I mean, look at this. In fact, I'm going to see exactly how accurate this game is by playing To the Saving of the Princess in the 16-bit game, and then again in this one, just to see how similar the areas are, and putting them side by side for you to take a look at here. Okay, so, well, it's not as similar as I would have thought. In fact, it seems like in the event of simplifying it, some of it's quite different. Monsters are different in some places, and... Oh, I see your problem here, Princess. You seem to have a Dodongo and Metroid infestation. I got somebody I can get to help you with that right away. What, Metroids? Yeah, sit and spin, buddy. I don't touch those things. Another problem is not being able to move and use your sword at the same time. I mean, you could even do that in the first Legend of Zelda. This also seems to have a Game Boy Color feel to it. The others did too, but this one's so much more than the others, especially when you go into the town area of the map. I like the inventory section. It feels authentic. The graphics are pretty okay, and it seems like they tried their best to make it look like the Sufami one, but the controls are extremely stiff, and it's hard to fight. The characters don't move well. They move just like an Atari 2600 game. Choppy. And having the life bar like that, though, as a stick? To tell you the truth, my favorite so far has been the Chrono Trigger game. Final Fantasy VII was just too hard, and The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past one, while having decent graphics, it's just not that much fun. Yeah, I like the Chrono Trigger best. Now, there have been some games that I've gone on record with saying that I have no problems with people playing burned copies or emulated copies of these games. These are games that never did or ever will have an official US release. Mother 3, for example, or even Earthbound Zero or Rekka Summer Carnival. These are games that had no official English language patches, but they just never were released here in America. You can find some of these games at places like NES Reproductions or even Game Reproductions, but I've gotten all of mine from NES Reproductions in Canada. And while these aren't really up my alley, as well they are in Chinese and are difficult to muddle through, making them really the first non-playable you can play this games that I've ever done on the show, they are interesting for collectors and fans of the Famicom alike. If you think that they're up your alley, then take a look for them. Ugh, boy, those were just a... bleh. I need something to cleanse my palate now. I need something faster. Something with really good graphics. Something upbeat. Something like this.